In this video, we're going to look at the use of an influence diagram. This is a feature of the Precision Tree software that we haven't used yet. So in order to use it, I've set up a simple problem here, and let's take a look at the problem first. This is a simple issue where we have to make a decision about what level of operation and maintenance spending to choose. We have three options. We can go with no operation and maintenance spending, and that costs us nothing. Normal will cost us $500, and spending on everything that's needed will cost us $5,000. Now, with these different levels of funding, there are different performance levels that can result. Our project can have low, medium, or high performance as a result of the operation and maintenance spending. If we spend nothing, the probability of a low performance is 0.8, the probability of a medium performance is 0.15, and the probability of a high performance is 0.05. And in a similar fashion, we have different probabilities for normal O&M funding and for the high level of O&M funding. The third piece of our decision problem is the payoff. If we have a low level of performance, the benefits are $1,000. For a medium level of performance, they are $6,000, and for a high level of performance, they're $10,000. So now let's build our influence model. We begin with the Precision Tree tab, go to the Create New Cluster, and I'm going to click on the influence diagram. An empty table is inserted here, and we are asked where we would like to put the payoff node. I'm going to say put it right about here, and the payoff node appears. I'm going to rename this Project Services and say OK. You'll see Project Services appears up here. So I'm going to take my payoff node, move it down here, and over here I'm going to place a decision node. Decision node, I want three outcomes. So I'm going to add an outcome, and the first outcome is going to be no O&M, normal O&M, and everything. So I go back to my node now, and I'm going to change this to O&M level. Got an extra L in there. Let me get it out. And now I'm going to exit to the value table. This opens up a little spreadsheet here. Let me move it over here so you can see it a little better. I'm going to put a 0 to indicate none, minus 500 to indicate normal, and minus 5,000 for the everything level, and say OK. Now I'm going to place a new node into our model. So I once again go up here to the node, and I say, yeah, that's about right. I would like a chance node this time. I'm going to change the name of the chance node to performance. I'd like three outcomes, so I will add one. There can be low, medium, and high. Putting extra consonants in. I'm not going to hit exit to the value table quite yet. So I'm going to click on OK. Now I'm going to add some influence arcs. So I'm going to go back up to the Create New. I'm going to click on a new influence arc, and I'm going to say from the O&M level to the payoff, there is an influence. And this is all grayed out, so I simply click OK. I'm going to add another influence arc from the performance to the payoff. And again, click OK. So this is essentially the cost. That has an effect on the payoff. This is the performance, that has an effect on the payoff. And I also am going to add another arc here because I believe that my O&M level has an influence on the performance of the project. And this time I do have the option of clicking on a value. So this is my basic influence model. Now I'm going to go back to performance and click on the exit to value table. Let me move it over here. And what we're going to do is replicate the values that we see up here. So I'm going to put 1,000 for low. Whoops. 6,000 for medium. 10,000 for high. And I'm going to repeat that sequence. Then we're going to move on to the probabilities, and using the probabilities from the table, I will enter them. This is where you have to be a little bit careful that you get the right values in the right spots. And almost done. 0.15, 0.4, and 0.45. And I click OK. Now I have one more node to work on, and that's the payoff node. And now I'm going to exit to the value table. And that has been built from those nodes that influence it. So here's what I'm going to do now to construct the payoffs. I'm going to use the same syntax that Excel uses for formulas. I'm going to say equal sign low performance, which is $1,000, plus the level of O&M. So in this case, that's going to be 1,000 plus 0. I'm going to copy that formula down. Now notice that the cell addresses here do not correspond to the Excel spreadsheet. These cell addresses are addresses that have been created inside our influence model. So you don't want to be using addresses from the Excel spreadsheet. You can just point and click inside of here, and Precision Tree will take care of the addresses for you. I'm going to click on OK, and you can keep your eye on that little table up there that is located in cell A1. When I click OK, it does some calculations for me. I'm going to format those because they are all in dollars. And so now I know what the minimum payoff is, what the maximum payoff is, and what the expected value is. Now that alone, maybe you would be unimpressed, but I do have a model that we can talk about. Some people find it easier to begin to build a model at this level, to identify the key components and to identify those other components that it influences. Here's the part of an influence model that I like. If we get on any one of these nodes and we do a right mouse click and we get model, I'm going to select convert to a decision tree. So Precision Tree is going to take the structure of my influence model, and that fast it will create a decision tree. Let's look at this decision tree briefly. It says here that the O&M level, the expected return is $4,550, and the best decision to make is to choose the normal level of operation and maintenance. That is the best decision. That is the one that will yield an expected value of $4,550. Now, we see false for up here, meaning that is not the choice you want to make, and false down here, meaning that's not the choice you want to make. Let's look at this next layer of nodes. This is the expected value for this node. This is the expected value for this one. This is the expected value for this one. Our model was set up to choose the maximum expected value, and that leads us along this path. Let's take this value right here. These models are solved backwards. So over here, I'm going to just say equal sign, take this times this, and then add this times this, and then add this times this. And when I click, you'll see that's 4,550. That's this number right here. Okay. I could create the same values here. Calculate the expected value. Calculate the expected value here. And since our decision problem was to choose the best payoff, that's what we get. So we started off with our very simple payoff matrix here. Let me click on this once more. We began here. We created at the end of the model, we created the payoff by adding the O&M cost to the performance. We see what the expected value is, what the maximum expected value is here, and we've seen how to create a decision tree from our influence diagram. So keep this in mind as an option should you prefer it. It's an easy way for some people to begin and to build an to build an event tree or a decision tree.